The church is just a word to them and a faith. But inside each denomination, we have these different set of dynamics that sometimes help, sometimes hinder addressing these issues. And you've had background in at least 3, and probably more. Can you address this issue of from denomination to denomination? What helps and hinders us from addressing the trends and the problems in our community through the church?
Absolutely. Let me say a word of thanks first for your leadership as moderator of this august body. I'm happy to be on this panel and say a word of gratitude for my family, which is here. They had 3 other options at 4 o'clock. I don't take it lightly. They came to see the baby. Thank you. But I often say when I stand up to preach that I'm a Baptist Pentecostal of Christ. I was born into a family of Baptists, 4 generations of Baptists. My great-granddaddy was a Baptist preacher in rural Florida for 65 years. I had a conversion experience in the Pentecostal church. I got saved in the Pentecostal church in Ashland, Virginia at a Pentecostal camp. I was ordained for the first time in the United Methodist Church, and then found my home in the United Church of Christ, thus making me a Baptist Pentecostal of Christ. Y'all can laugh on that. It was fun. And so, but as often as I say that, people look at me when I give myself that moniker and they kind of turn their eyes like, you know, what is this? But the truth is that 25% of people, of adults in the United States of America right now are not a part of not only the denomination that they were born into, but the faith tradition they were born into. 25% in the U.S. have converted to either a different denomination or a different religious tradition altogether. If you count movement within Protestant denominations, it's 44%. Okay? So that means that almost half the people in your congregations are like me. Okay? They're Baptist, Methodist, something before they got to you. So this experience that many of our grandparents had of brand loyalty with regards to the denomination is a thing of the past. And this experience that most of us have of individuals who know everything there is to know about being AME, or everything there is to know about being Baptist, everything there is to know about being Presbyterian, is no longer true. They come to your door carrying with them the theology and the polity of all of those other denominations and faith traditions that they have been a part of. And so they come in with a different set of ideas about what it means to be a person of faith. They come in with a different set of ideas about what it means to be a religious leader. And they come in with a different set of ideas about what inclusivity means. So when we talk about how religious leaders are going to engage social issues of our day, like healthcare and predatory lending and the criminal justice system, I think there are 4 things we have to be aware of. These engagements have to be ecumenical. That is, we have to look outside of specific religious traditions to Baptists and Methodists, and we need to look beyond historically black denominations, which has been our history. If we're trying to get engaged, we might go down the street to the Second Baptist or to Missionary Baptist, but we will not go across the street to the Episcopal Church. We will not go around the corner to the Lutheran Church, and we certainly will not go 4 blocks down to the Jewish synagogue. So these conversations have to be ecumenical because our members come to us now as ecumenical individuals, and they have to be interfaith. The young people that I serve are living now in the most diverse generation that we have ever seen on the planet. And they do not understand how it is that we self-identify as worshipers and believers in the single God, but cannot have a civil conversation with a Muslim or Buddhist or Sikh. For the first time in the history of this country, 1 in 4 young adults, that's 18 through 29, do not identify with any religious tradition. 1 in 4. No tradition whatsoever. And the chief reason they say that is because they can't distinguish the rhetoric that we have in church with the rhetoric they see on TV at Jerry Springer. It's the same level of hostility. When we talk about people in other faith traditions, and we talk about people in other denominations, and they don't want to be a part of the drama that they understand to be church. So when we start looking at how we're going to retool and how we're going to determine the new front line of the civil rights movement, and we're trying to engage and encourage folks under the age of 40 to be invested in these causes, they are not looking to the church to be the leaders. They're looking to other not-for-profits to talk to if they want to figure out how to deal with health disparities, and they want to figure out how to deal with economic injustice, because they have not seen the church as a fair partner in those conversations. So the four things, and then I'll stop. We have to be ecumenical, we have to be interfaith, I think we need to be intergenerational, intentionally intergenerational, and we have to be inclusive. And being inclusive means we may have to invite some partners to the table. When we're going down to the city council or to the governor's office, Bishop Harvey, we may have to invite some folks to the table who would not otherwise be welcome in our churches as partners. And that's a difficult thing for many black churches in particular to do. So how do we begin a conversation with same-gender loving folks when we want to talk about our education systems? How do we begin conversations with individuals who have gone through the criminal justice system when we want to talk about how we improve criminal justice? And how do we begin conversations with individuals who are not in the same socioeconomic class as the majority of the members of our congregations, if we really want to do this partnering work to respond to the needs of our communities?
Thank you so much. Reverend Johnson, with your background, let's tackle, from your perspective, effectiveness and the health issue that confront our community. Of course, the poster child is the AIDS pandemic, and how folk accused often the black church of not addressing it because of a variety of phobias. I think there's a lot more of addressing it going on than folk give them credit for, but that's another issue. From where you sit, your vantage point, the health issues, the health disparities, the kind of things that affect our community, how effective can churches be in addressing those things, and what works in your experience? What works?
I'm thankful for having the opportunity to follow all of this preacherdom on the stage. One of the difficult things about following preachers, it takes your mind off to different places when you hear thoughts and ideas. But what I see in this part of the health disparity issue, there's three things I want to lift up to follow my preacher protocol: lead, collaborate, and follow, as it directs to the health issue. What I do in Memphis, I work for a regional children's hospital that's part of an 8-hospital system. We employ 12,000 people in the Memphis Mid-South area, and we're the only children's hospital in the region. That means there's no children's hospital closer to us. In Memphis, 3 hours to our east is Vanderbilt, 4 hours to the north is St. Louis, 2 hours to the west is Little Rock, 3 hours to the south is Jackson, Mississippi. So that entire region there is where we serve. And I serve as in a dual capacity. I have hospital operations on one side, and I have community benefit on the other side, community responsibility on what happens. And when I sat with my CEO, when I moved into this position, we are a faith-based institution. So part of my responsibility is to help my CEO hold true to what faith impact can have on the strategy or business model. If you ever sit in those corporate boardrooms, whenever they talk about mission, that translates really as being no money. And when we talk about margin, that's what's